Will India become collateral damage of the new axis between China, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan? Let me tell you what I'm talking about. I begin with what's happening in Riyadh. The Chinese president is there. Xi Jinping landed in Saudi Arabia yesterday. We brought you those visuals on the show. In the last 24 hours, China and Saudi Arabia have signed 34 agreements. 34, that's a very high and a highly unusual number. These are bilateral agreements that I'm talking about. They take time and they involve a lot of deliberation, also negotiation. These 34 agreements could not have been drawn up overnight or over a week's time. So one wonders, since when have these agreements been shaping up? And since when have Saudi Arabia and China been discussing the clauses and the terms and conditions? And I ask this because something unusual also happened last month. In November, I don't know how many of you know this, but the Saudi Crown Prince was supposed to visit India. He cancelled the planned visit. What was the reason that was given? Scheduling issues. Like I was saying, this happened in November. It's second week to be specific. And cut to less than a month later, you have Xi Jinping in Saudi Arabia. Doesn't add up, does it? The leader of a country that India is currently engaged with in a standoff lands in Saudi Arabia following a cancelled visit by the Saudi Crown Prince to India. Are we to believe this is mere coincidence? Or did the terms and conditions include bailing on India? Because MBS here has clearly sidestepped India and walked right into the arms of China. 34 agreements, like I'm telling you, and they include information technology, IT. That's a sector that India is synonymous with. India, remember, is the world's IT superpower. It is India that exports top IT talent globally. But Saudi Arabia is discussing IT with China, signing IT agreements with China. So what's really happening there? Also consider this, MBS was supposed to discuss energy cooperation in India. Also on the agenda were oil trade and investment in renewable energy. But all of these are springing up in the tete-a-tete between the Chinese and the Saudis. The two have already signed agreements on green hydrogen, photovoltaic energy, transportation, housing, also a comprehensive strategic partnership agreement. And where does this leave India? Out of the game, I'm guessing, or reduced to collateral damage? Because let's get one thing straight. This is not a Saudi-Chinese partnership being built in a geopolitical vacuum. It's an axis that is in the making. An axis that involves India's western and troublesome neighbor, Pakistan. Let me remind you here, Pakistan is China's all-weather ally. Pakistan also shares a fraternal tie with Saudi Arabia. It is a relationship rooted in religion, a relationship that many describe as too important to fail. A couple of weeks before MBS called off his visit to India, the Saudi Crown Prince had a meeting with Pakistan's Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif. This was in Egypt. During this meeting, Sharif reiterated how much importance Pakistan attaches to its relationship with Saudi Arabia. And less than a month later, MBS cancels his trip to India. Look at the larger picture here. You have two of India's adversaries coming together with India's strategic partner, one of India's closest friends in West Asia. I want to remind you here that Saudi Arabia is a country India had come very close to over the last 7 years. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Saudi Arabia in 2016. He was conferred with the kingdom's highest civilian honor. I'm talking about the King Abdulaziz Sash Award. In 2019, MBS flew down to India. He announced investments targeting $100 billion. MBS also increased India's Hajj quota to 200,000. In 2019, Prime Minister Modi visited Saudi Arabia again, and this was on the invitation of Saudi Arabia's King Salman. It was during this visit that the two countries signed the Strategic Partnership Council Agreement. Riyadh even identified India as one of the kingdom's strategic partner countries. This was under Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030. It's December 2022 and Saudi Arabia is already planning a future with another countries, and both these countries are India's foes. Again, what do you think just happened there? Of course, America's hostility drove Riyadh towards China. In fact, Riyadh is now buying weapons from China, signing agreements with China, holding summits with China, rolling out the red carpet for China. But remember, China does not come alone. You can spot Pakistan piggybacking and India being given a slip. India, like we have been saying, has become collateral damage. Should New Delhi be worried? I don't see why not. Saudi Arabia is India's fourth largest trading partner, also a major source of energy. According to one estimate, there are over 500 Indian companies in Saudi Arabia. I'm talking about both joint ventures and 100% owned entities. And together, we are looking at an investment of $1.5 billion. What are the chances China will not go after them or set up Chinese companies and kill the competition? Saudi Arabia has invested $3.3 billion in India. The Kingdom Sovereign Fund has put in $1.5 billion in geo platforms. This is as recently as August 2020. Saudi Arabia has also announced an investment of $1.3 billion in Reliance Retail Ventures. India was supposed to be Saudi Arabia's main development partner. But now you have China in the picture, and the two countries are talking infra technology. What are the chances the kingdom will not divert future investment towards China? From where I am sitting, the fears look very valid, especially given that you have Pakistan and China in this axis. And these two countries can be trusted with building hurdles on India's diplomatic paths. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.